Hello, this is Phil Batista with the IEEE Rising Stars Committee. Welcome to the IEEE Rising Stars Conference for 2021. My guest today is Imagineer Jonathan Chu with Disney.
Hello.
Hi, Jonathan. You've got a session at the conference today that we just had. I'd like to welcome you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely, we're delighted to have you. Let's recap some of the finer points from your session today. Tell me, what is Imagineering?
So, Imagineering is actually the creative design arm of the Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. So, we design anything that's a theme park, but that includes the rides and attractions, the shows, but that also it has the restaurants, the hotels, the cruise ships. So, basically, any sort of physical manifestation of what you see on the silver screen or on your TV. We try to bring that to life in real reality, RR, not AR or VR, but RR.
RR, right?
hmm
Wow, that's fantastic. I've been on the Castaway Key Island, and I've taken my family on the Disney ships and been to the parks. It's an amazing feat that you guys do. Why do you love working at Disney?
Well, I think uh, it's mostly about the teamwork. For me, so if you just watch my session, I love acronyms, and so for me, team TEAM means together, everyone achieves more. So for us, all the projects, it takes over 150 different disciplines to bring these creations to life. And so it's one giant group project. So for anyone out there that hates group work, Imagineering is not the place for you. But if you enjoy working with others and helping, build something amazing together, which engineering in general is all about. You have to work, with civil engineers and mechanical engineers, especially if you're electrical engineering. It's all about teamwork. So that's kind of one aspect of it that I love in Imagineering because half of it is imagination plus engineering, so it's Imagineering. I love kind of that teamwork aspect that you bring to it, and it's really just a mindset too. It's the attitude, the perspectives, the paradigms that Imagineers have that I think really translates into the work. The guests that come to our park see the passion. And one of my other favorite acronyms that I'm just going to throw in here is, we don't believe in failure. Fail, actually, FAIL stands for first attempt in learning.
Oh, I
So
love
I
it.
think everything you try, even if it doesn't work, it's just your attempt, right? It's like along those Thomas Edison kind of mindset words paradigms of he didn't fail 999 times before he invented the light bulb. He found 999 ways to not invent the light bulb, and so he
Exactly.
was trying things. It's all about prototyping and exploring discovery. So that's kind of why I love kind of the working at Imagineering.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great, Jonathan. So tell us why do stories matter?
Well, I think at the end of the day, one of my favorite creative directors said this sentence, which really impacted me, which was, a story well told can change the world. And so, stories are all around us. In fact, during COVID, right now, what are we all doing? We're binging stories through all the streaming platforms available. It's what we don't have is the in person kind of stories, but we are seeing stories in a virtual sense come to life. And especially, TV and animation, all of those stories, I think, at the very least teach us something about life. It's sort of a metaphor for life, and you can learn something from stories. And I think storytelling is so important, and that's what sort of separates Disney sort of from other theme parks is we kind of start with story is the foundation for all of our rides and attractions. I'm going to throw another acronym at you. Like Nemo, it's like we ride along the EAC. I think what we use as Disney is sort of this emotional action connection, action-oriented connection. So what Imagineering does with the stories that we tell is that we immerse our guests in a world, a fantastical world that you may never be able to get to visit, right? A haunted mansion or a pirate infested town.
Right.
Um, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, all of these things that we've brought to life. Cars Land from the Pixar movie Cars, Radiator Springs. One of my stories that I tell is that, this little boy went into Cars Land and was like, Dad, this is where they filmed the movie. And so it's just like, wow, we really brought that to life, and we're able to suspend your disbelief so that you can then enjoy that story. And when I say EAC, we make an emotional connection with guests, but we want you to walk away feeling, joy filled or the sense of play. And that's, I think what makes Imagineering fun is that we get to connect with guests on a deep emotional level. But what's interesting is that we don't usually just tell, like a book report of the movie. We also try to make you, the guest, the person that comes to our theme parks, feel like you're in the story, you're a part of the story, or you're even making your own story within that universe. So take Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, for example, that we just opened in Florida and Disneyland here in California. We are able to make you live your own Star Wars story. So
Wow.
you can either choose the light side or the dark side, or whatever floats your boat. Even if you want to, be a smuggler, you can be part of that team, and then you can kind of live your own Star Wars adventure. So that's I think why stories matter, is because it really teaches you about life, but also it helps you become maybe greater than who you are, and you can learn from other characters, that you aspire to be or that went through their own adventure, and you can just be like them.
Well, it's such an immersive experience that you create, with those stories. That's amazing. So tell me, what are some of the tips that have helped you in your career?
Hmm. Well, I'd say definitely learn how to pitch. Storytelling again is the foundation for everything. Even when you have a new idea as an engineer, if you're trying to start your own company, you're an entrepreneur, or you're just trying to sell yourself, right? Learn how to sell, learn how to pitch, because that is one of the most important features that you don't really learn in engineering school. You learn how to crunch the numbers, but do you know how to tell a good story with those numbers? Especially with data-driven applications now, telling stories with numbers is very important. And so, how can you, learn, especially the elevator pitch? And I think Twitter is a great example of like, how can you tell a story in 144 characters?
Right.
That kind of mentality. So, I have like a formula that I use in when I write stories, where it's, let me see if I have it here. Oh, I don't think I wrote it down. Um, Essentially, wow, I don't know where I put it. Sorry, everyone. Okay, yeah,
I've
here.
actually heard that lawyers have to go to acting school so they can learn how to perform in front of the judge.
That
From
makes
a lawyer told me that.
well, and I encourage everyone to take an improv class of some sort, just so you're like light on your feet. And so here, elevator pitch, character wants to goal but can't because of conflict. So they do X, which results in Y. So, me, Jonathan, wants to get a job but can't because of this conflict. So I can do this thing, because which results in me being successful here. That's kind of an example of like, that's sort of just the formula of, pitching and why you are a better candidate than another person. And
That's
then the
great. Well, as a matter of fact, if you have that document, what I'll do is, if you look down in the notes here, there'll be an attachment that you can download this from Jonathan, and you can have exactly what he's presenting on his screen that he's just talked about. So that's a great thing.
Awesome. One more thing is the you have to tune into the WIIFM, which is like What's in It for Me radio. And so your interviewer is is tuned into what's in it for me, and they're asking, well, how can you help me with my job and this team that I'm on? So you, as the applicant interviewing, have to tune into what's in it for me, WIIFM, and go, okay, like, because I'm going to join this team, this is what I can bring, the value that I can bring to you and to the marketplace, in terms of, if they're going to invest in me, what's the ROI, what's the return on investment? If they're going to pay me $80,000 a year, there better be a good reason.
Right.
So you have to bring that value. And then the last tip I'm going to say is I do drive-through listening, which if you're in with your boss or with some other person and you're receiving an assignment of some sort, do drive-through listening, which is when you go through a drive-through, what do they do after you order 5 tacos, 4 burritos, and 3 quesadillas? They'll repeat it back to you. And so they'll be like, oh, you wanted 7 tacos and 3, burritos and 18 quesadillas. You're like, no, 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 that's not what I wanted at all. So
Right.
what you want to make sure that you're on the same page, and you do that with drive-through listening. So repeat back what you heard the assignment was and what you think the expectations are for success.
I like it. Drive-through listening. That's great. I've never heard that before, but we use that a lot in communications, radio communications, for confirming things. We've got about 3 or 4 more minutes here. So tell me, what impact does your work have on the world today, and why is that important to you, Jonathan?
Well, so I think we believe happy people make the world a better place. And I personally start with human first principles. So when we create these experiences, we want to make sure that everyone that comes and experiences it is included. They feel part of the story again, and that it's relevant to them. And the work that I'm doing, today, it's helping to make sure all of our stories are relevant to the global audience, the cultures around the world. We don't want anyone to feel excluded. And so we believe every life matters. And this is the last acronym I'm throwing out today,
Okay.
uh, LIFE. And that's something where, if you pay attention to the L, it's like the lens. You change your paradigm, make sure your lenses are accurate and correct. You look at other cultures with an open mind. You're not going, oh, that's not the way I would do it, but just be polycultural. I is inclusive, right? You want to make sure that you're inclusive of everyone that we do. Every life matters. F is you want to focus on what's important, and make sure that you're not excluding anyone. And lastly, E for elevate. You want to elevate others. Uh,
Love it.
and make sure that they feel heard, they feel that they're important, that they matter. So that's sort of why I think the work that I do is important and it matters to me, because I want to make sure that everyone feels like they're part of the story.
Fantastic. We've got about a minute and a half here. I'll let you pick from either telling us about what Positopian stories are or how the COVID pandemic has affected the entertainment industry.
Well, those are both good questions. Positopian stories, really quickly, are just hope-filled, positive stories, and I think that's something that we all need today. So, if you want to tell not a very, sad dystopian story, I encourage you to tell positive stories, especially on social media or good news, all of that stuff. But the entertainment industry definitely has taken a hard hit during COVID, and so I've seen really great adaptations go into the virtual Zoom realm. And I encourage everyone to support your local artists or go see like a very cool Zoom show that's immersive. And people are adapting. I think the resilience of the human spirit is incredible. And so try out the Zoom shows, because they're definitely really fun. There's ones where you can solve a mystery together. There's ones that you can work with other people on the Zoom call. You can go in the breakout rooms and see what's happening in those breakout rooms. But then there's also drive-through experiences. You should try those as well because those are really fun. And there's definitely great companies out there working on those.
That's fantastic. And I'm going to put some links to some things that you've discussed in your session, as well as some of the document you talked about here just a little bit. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and it's great to see you at the Rising Stars Conference this year. We look forward to having you next year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Looking forward to a better 2020-21.
You're welcome. Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jonathan. Bye bye.